with your like second.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Griff, how the heck are you? We are live on the YouTube today. Welcome to Take This. My name is Brad. I'm here right now, right with Griff. Griff. Well, I messed up our names. Never mind. Don't look at that. I'm not Alex. No matter how many, I forgot to change it, and I'm not gonna mess with it today. From yesterday's stuff. Griff, we got a big Christmas show for everyone planned. Isn't that so exciting? Dude, Christmas.
I mean, we're 3 days away.
I know. And I've had my Christmas tree up since November 1. November 1, baby. That's
so crazy to me that you've had a Christmas tree up since for 2 months.
I might be psychotic. But it is
maybe a little.
It is very exciting.
I'm being very unprofessional and sending out the tweet that we're live. Very important stuff.
Perfect. I just talked to you about how I'm just kidding.
I don't care.
when you're live, it's different, and it's social media, baby. You gotta really pack it on. Griff, we have some stuff, some Christmas stuff to get into. This is our Christmas special episode. Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
Oh, I am. I'm ready to talk about.
Perfect.
So we got kind of two Christmas topics we want to talk about. We have the first one to kind of keep it sports related, and then the other one just a more general Christmas talk. So the first one is, what is past, present, or otherwise the best Christmas sports related Christmas gifts you could receive? Whether you're a kid or even now, what are the best ones you've received? The best ones, you remember your friends got and it made you really want it. What was it? Why'd you want it? Et cetera, et cetera. And I'll start out. The best thing I ever got was when I was still playing baseball, was a really like high quality, I forget the brand name, but it was, a really high quality aluminum bat that had a huge barrel that and it just had the cleanest sound. It would, it was all neon. So it looked like, something like a college baseball player would use instead of just like a basic aluminum bat. It was like, you felt like the big dude coming out onto that, onto the ball field. You felt like, yeah, this is Big Texas coming out to hit a home run. So that for me was one of another cool one. I need to remember what it was like. It was a Nerf football that you could, maybe it wasn't Nerf. Here we go. Nerf, the Nerf playbook, I believe is what it was called. And what you could do, it was by Hasbro. It like opened up and you could like draw plays on the football and say, all right, so if like you're playing like, let's say like 3-on-3, 4-on-4 with your friends, you could open up the football and literally be like, okay, I'm gonna be here, and you could draw like, hey, Alex, this is gonna be you, Adam, this is gonna be you. You run this route, and then you run this route, and then you could close the football and then run the play, playing with that football, and then open up, and like it's like, I think it was like, I don't know what it was that let you.
Was it like an erase board, or was it like a
It was like a weird like pressure thing. Like you could just kind of like push down on it and it
Oh, that's
like would
cool.
draw. It's kind of like an etch a sketch kind of thing. Um, and Michael Vick promoted it. This was like early childhood. Yeah, for me, early childhood. It was 2004,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was like 6 at the
That would be
time,
like 9.
and
Yeah.
it was like the coolest thing.
Oh my
And
god.
I remember like if you liked sports, a lot of kids wanted the big. Oh, it's called Nerf Big Play Football.
Interesting. Yeah.
Super cool.
It's funny too because like this is the first year that I'm like buying like presents for all of my like cousins that I have. I have like I think what is it like 8 or so, like in 7 or 8 that we spend Christmas with. I always felt bad because I'm like I don't know, I'm like the oldest cousin and I never like chipped in or got something small or whatever. And now everyone's like, Brad, you're poor. Why are you buying people stuff? But so it's funny. I asked my aunt. I'm like, what do they want? Whatever. My one cousin's like 20 or so. Whatever. He goes to Michigan Tech, and he was but up in the UP, like up where Houghton and Upper Peninsula, they are all big fans of the Packers, right? So like Wisconsin teams,
Right. I was
stuff
gonna
like
say
that.
most UP, yeah, like most of the UP are not Lions
No,
fans.
not at all.
They are.
And God bless
They're
them
Bucks.
because
Yeah.
hell no, I would not. I'm not a
To
lion.
think I was that I just needed to be about 200 miles north and I would have been
Right
fine.
to find happiness. So anyway, so she's like, yeah, buy like anything Wisconsin. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I buy him a Packers hat. The funny thing I mean, I guess if he's not watching this. I'm like maybe he found out what he's getting. And then there's what's it called? His brother. I bought him a Michigan shirt, and the guy at the store. I went to like Game Day Detroit at like Somerset Mall or 12 Oaks or wherever the hell it was. I go in and the guy at the counter says hello to me or something like that. I'm walking by actually with the shirt in my hand, and I show it to him and I'm like, dude, it's Christmas. You gotta, because I'm wearing my Michigan State hat and everything on, and I got this Michigan shirt in my hand, and I'm like, you can't discriminate at Christmas time, And so I'm buying them both things because I'm not a fan of Aaron Rodgers either. So I bought, you can't apparently discriminate fan bases on Christmas time. So. But it's fun. I got a nice hat too for Christmas. It was some like $20 like Michigan State hat from like a Secret Santa thing with my theater group or whatever, and it was kind of nice. But I would never spend that much money on someone for Secret Santa. $10 is it,
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say the classic is like the jersey, like
Right.
jerseys especially because jerseys were like another level above just
Right.
like a hoodie or a
Well, and it's
t-shirt.
hard to buy jerseys for yourself. Like it's hard to justify
Yeah.
some of that, and a lot of times for Christmas they have like on sale and stuff like that. Like you try to go buy a Red Wings jersey or something or an NHL jersey. Those things can be like $200. Then baseball
Yeah, I was
jerseys
gonna say
are expensive too.
I got mine on sale, my Larkin jersey for the Red Wings, and yeah, it's like it's 100. I think I got it on sale for 150. Even they go for 200 normally.
Right.
And like
Usually
football jerseys are a little less expensive because they don't have the sleeve, so they're like
Right.
$120. And it also depends on the player. Like
right.
if you get a blank one without a name, they're cheaper. But if you get like an Iserman jersey, they're gonna be more expensive. Or if you get
Right.
like a Barry Sanders jersey is more expensive than who's like a Penei Sewell jersey
Or a
even,
Hawkinson even probably.
I would totally get a Penei Sewell jersey, by the way.
I
love
don't
that
think
man.
I've ever
love
seen
that
anyone with a jersey of a lineman. I'm not gonna lie.
I will. I love Penei Sewell. Ugh. Everyone was like, he's a bust, and after he's the youngest player in the NFL, and it took a few games to adjust, but we'll get to that anyway. Yeah, I think jerseys are. I mean, that's a classic. I mean, I'm trying to think.
You always get more jerseys as a
obviously-
kid too, right? Because like you're younger and they're like what, like it can be
That's
youth
when you're
jerseys can run at
fandom
like
too.
$60.
That's also when your fandom. Like, I envy kids because
Mhm.
like your fandom is never more pure and easier to like it's just easier to be a fan. Like
Right.
I think that makes sense. Like now, like I know so much about being a fan and knowing like why the Lions are so bad because of all the terrible mistakes they've made.
Right.
Not to say I'm a genius, not to say
Yeah.
I'm a genius and that I'm the smartest guy in the room, but it's like I see what the Bob Quinns of the world do, and it's like when I was a kid, I didn't follow any of that. I didn't know what the draft was and why taking a wide receiver in the first round and like the top 10 was a bad thing. I just knew, hey, go team. Why can't we? Why aren't we winning these games with these other teams? You know, it's easier.
Go team.
And, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also, you know, what think about too. This applies to you as well. Think about when we grew up. Wings were prime. You know, they won in 01.
Right.
And granted, I was too young to remember that, but then they won in 08. Like that whole decade was dominance. The Tigers, even though they never won it, it was like every season I tuned in and they were competitive.
I remember, and this is absolutely true. Okay, I remember this. And our baseball team hadn't been good because right, so because the Tigers won in like '86. They won in '86, and then they were garbage for like 03. They had the worst record in American League history.
Yep.
And I remember this specifically. Dude, I'm sitting in my bedroom and I'm watching SpongeBob SquarePants, okay? Or Fairly Odd Parents, some Nickelodeon stuff or whatever. It's like 9 o'clock at night and it's like a school night or something like that. And I'm like I'm like going to bed basically, just watching TV or whatever. And Nickelodeon cuts to, in the local market, cuts to Maglio Ordonez at the plate against the Oakland Athletics in Game 6 or whatever it was of the ALCS, and he hits that home run, and I remember like Nickelodeon cut to like every channel just cut to Fox or wherever it was on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, everywhere in this market, absolutely, they had to. I mean,
and that was
it was it was playoff baseball too. It wasn't even like.
Remember when people watched playoff baseball, and now you can't. I mean, now they got round 1 was on FS1. Like, who the hell is gonna watch FS1?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
But you know,
this is a good time. This is a cheerful time of year.
I'm sure. I'm cynical. Sorry.
Jolly. I know we're very cynical.
And that's the thing, right? When you're a kid, you're like, go team. You know. And
well,
now,
it's a lot, yeah, you're just thinking, you know, why, you know, now it's like as a kid, if I was a kid now, I'd be like, yeah, why can't the Tigers win a World Series with Castor Rogers and
Jake Rogers and
Jake Rogers
and Zach Scott or whatever the hell his name is, Zach Short, yeah.
Yeah, why can't he?
Why can't a replacement level player get a World Series ring?
Because I didn't know what a replacement level player was.
Oh my god. Like amazing. It is so bad. So bad.
I will say I think like I think sports equipment as a kid is like one of the best things you can get as on top of memorabilia.
One year I got goalie pads.
I remember one year I got a goalie. We got like a hockey net.
Okay, that's pretty sick. Street hockey was a good time.
Yeah. Oh man, I loved playing street hockey. Oh, this is taking me back. I'm going right down nostalgia lane here. Oh, yeah. No, Christmas is like that was the best time. I will say the one thing that sucked though is like, you ever got like a skate like in Michigan or any cold state, you get a skateboard or a football. Well, not a football you can play in the winter, but like a baseball equipment, anything that was like. A summer, you had to be warm out, at least moderately. You couldn't have ice and snow on the ground.
No.
But you get it on December and you're just like, woo, I can't wait to use this in 5 months.
No, and that's the thing, like
when I got that bat. That's how it felt when I got that bat.
My birthday is in October, right? So it's like the beginning of October, right? and
Yeah.
it's fall, so it's when it starts getting cold out. Like there's when when I was younger and like climate change was not like really a big deal. Like it was never like
Yeah.
80 degrees in October. Like if it was like 80 degrees, like hell break loose, and then it became normal. But anyway, I got a bike for my 8th birthday. All right. And I was like, wow, cool. I can't wait to use this in like April or May. And like, God, those were times. Like that was one of the most memorable birthday presents I think I ever got was a bike. And I was like, wow, can't use this like anymore because like the weather. I'm not gonna bike in like I'm not a college student. I'm not gonna bike out on the sidewalk in the winter time. But God, that was those were the times. So Griff, do you want to get into some? Oh, you wanted to get into the Christmas songs.
Yes, because we talked about movies last week. We did
We
a
did.
power ranking. I'm
Those are
not
good.
so much doing a power ranking this week. I think songs are a lot harder to do that with, especially because Christmas songs. I think there's a lot more Christmas songs than movies, obviously, and there is a very like wide variety in terms of genre and style. Do you like the newer versions, the old classics? Do you just love thawing out Mariah Carey every year? Like what butters your egg roll here, you know?
What butters your egg roll?
You never heard that joke? The Vine compilation videos people put on YouTube that give them crazy titles. It'd be like these are vines that they would be like that butter my croissant, and then someone would go further and be like vines that butter my egg roll. Anyway, totally.
No,
off topic there.
I never watched Vine,
someone
and
listening
I'm
will
sorry for
understand.
it.
But so yeah, I wanted to start off. I'll just say this. I've always been a fan of the classics. I love me some Nat King Cole. In fact, I'm gonna pull up a playlist of classics. I'll pull up my other monitor over here. But Nat King Cole, really anything by him was great. The Christmas song, uh, obviously you got Sinatra, um, Carol caroling. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of very good ones. Feliz Navidad, obviously a classic. I've always liked the classics. The more jazzy kind of ones. White Bing Cosby. That's the other name I was trying to think of. White Christmas is an all time great. You can't deny White Christmas. I mean it's just so good. But yeah, anything Sinatra did, Let It Snow, Jingle
So
Bells, all that good
this
stuff.
this is gonna be, I have a hot take actually. So I love, what song I love? I love the song. Well, what is it? Last Christmas. I think that's
By
the one by Wham. So
Wham.
but here's the deal, okay? And this is
I do like it. It's
this
very
is
catchy.
yeah, but this is a terrible opinion, all right? And I know it is. I know it's a bad opinion. Like it is a cold take if you want to put it that way. And I'm aware of it. And I said this at work, and people like wanted to pitchfork me. But so I'm a big fan of Jimmy Eat World, right? And that their version of Last Christmas is the only one that I can listen to. Like genuinely, and I mean this, their version is the only one that I like. And people want to throw me out the floor because they say because
You like their
Wham
version better than mine.
and that's it. I think a lot of that too has to do with like I don't know. You listen to like version like I used to be like kid into punk music and all that stuff, and a lot of that stuff is nostalgia, right? Where you listen to a song as a kid and you're a big fan of it. I mean, either that or you hate it, but it's a psychological thing too. That's
Right.
that's why songs played on the radio more are usually more popular. And I'm not even saying this to be weird, because like you listen to like some songs on the radio can can make songs worse. Like Call Me Maybe was played so much, and that's why people hate it. But you know, I don't know. But again, like I don't know. It was the version I think I feel like I heard like the most as a kid, and so I don't know. That's how the cookie crumbles, isn't it? But people hate me for it. They hate me. They're like, it's almost as if when I tell them that I dislike or I haven't seen Star Wars, you know, people want to throw me through the moon for that one.
In Star Wars, I mean, honestly, you're probably better off. Just avoid it. Legitimately, just avoid it.
Well, it's funny too, cause like Katie is not a big fan of Star Wars. Like she is. She watches it, okay? But
Right.
she's not like got the what do you call him? Like the Darth Vader guy, the white guy. I don't know. That's not Darth Vader, I know, but like the white guy, what
Wait,
do
are
they
you
call him?
talking
Like
about a
stormtroopers? Yeah. So she doesn't have like one of those on like our keychain or anything like that. But she does have she does like watching it. Okay. And it's funny too, because like I'm like, you know, always saying like, oh, like I don't want to commit to like, you know, someone like I don't want to come into a situation where I see Star Wars like you know, and date someone. God forbid like Katie and I break up or something. But I don't want there to be a situation where like I watched Star Wars for nothing. You know what I mean? Like if I gotta see, there's no premarital Star Wars. You know, like I can't be out here having like watching Star Wars and then like not be with the person that I watch Star Wars with. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
But I don't know how we got into this conversation. But
You start bringing up Star Wars.
Dude,
I was just gonna let you get that.
I don't know. Yeah. This
probably
is
like,
a sports podcast. I promise. Yeah.
But so just to quickly wrap up the some of the song, like, so to talk about like the newer ones, I think like I'm fine. Like, you know, people like Michael Bublé, which really he's just covering the old
Why
ones, but he's
do they like him?
You know, he's got a good voice.
I'm sure.
He's you know, he's the new wave kind of, you know. He's not Sinatra, but
he's
it's Sinatra-esque.
everywhere.
It's
Every
that,
Christmas song is by him.
Well, he's like,
He's done
'cause
every
he
one.
He just covered all of the Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Jingle Bells, White Christmas, All I Want for Christmas Is You. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, Santa Baby. Like, he literally just remember how I said I liked all the classics? He just covered all of them.
Yeah, I will walk into a grocery store with AirPods in, so I don't have to hear him. Like, I hate people that do that. I hate people that are like talking on the phone while they're shopping. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, FaceTime's the worst.
I hate AirPods so much.
Yeah, well, especially for like retail workers.
Seeing all the nightmares Courtney had with hers and how they don't fucking stay connected because they're not a new generation, and Apple is awful.
Interesting.
Apple is just awful with allowing anything that's more than a couple generations old to still be relevant.
Well, because I had a pair and they weren't that bad. I know like one thing I like that Apple started doing now is that I think if you have like, I don't know if it's just new generation AirPods. I have the second gen AirPods, like not the first, but the second.
Like the first, I think.
And and it's because the third generation just came out and they look kind of cool. But anyway, not to make this like a technology podcast. So anyway, what they do now though is if you connect them, like I have my MacBook here, I have my iPad, I have my iPhone, and you know whatever. If I start playing music on my like iPhone and say I pause it and I want to watch a video on YouTube, Apple knows that I'm switching devices. And it will it'll start playing my stuff from my whatever I'm actively using, which is kind of nice. You know, like transitions it.
Yeah.
Because it always used to be a pain to like switch from your iPhone to your computer, and then they fixed it. But anyway, not to get into iOS 15.
So to kind of bring this back around on the Christmas songs, what is... So my two questions to you will be, we talked about, you know, the ones we liked. What's your favorite?
Mm-hmm.
And what is your least favorite? Mm-hmm. And what is the most overrated?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
I'll start with mine.
Yeah, you go first.
You got yours.
Because I got to think about it. Hold on.
Favorite, hands down,
mm-hmm.
Carol of the Bells by Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
it it just gets me hyped.
Okay.
I love it. It feels Christmassy with a little bit of rock and roll, in there, a little bit of, kind of that very, distortion guitar sound, the heavy metal guitar, whatever you want to call it, the rock and roll guitar, whatever you want to call it. Don't
Mm-hmm.
yell at me about genres. It kicks ass and I like it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um that's my favorite. I think my least favorite that I like listening to is um there's a few I mean Silent Night I could say is just like the worst just
Yeah.
because it's so depressing.
Right. I mean, there
Get
are
your
bad
religion
ones
out
like
of the
that are
holiday.
just terrible.
But I would say like the one like I kind of have a tie.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Santa Baby is pretty dog shit.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Anything.
And then also I would say All I Want for Christmas is My Two Front Teeth because
Mm,
no, I'm going to take that off. I just don't care for it, but it's
yeah.
like it's cute. It's for kids. It's not for me. But Santa Baby, like who the fuck is that for? Who's trying to fuck Santa Claus?
I know.
Like
And anything,
I
any of the songs that make like Christmas like sexual, like that is just
okay,
uncalled for.
even I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus is cute because it's right.
Right.
It's a kid's perspective seeing I saw my
Mm-hmm.
mom kiss Santa Claus when it's really just mom kissing dad in a Santa Claus outfit. That's all that
Right.
is. That's cute, right? Because that dad was dressed as Santa, blah blah blah. But Santa Baby is literally like, bring me these toys, and it sounds very promiscuous. It's based like
Right.
Santa be my sugar daddy, and I don't like that. Also,
S-
the Michael Bublé cover he does where he says Santa Buddy and like flops all of the genders because can't no gay, no homo. It's just so
yeah.
cringy. I don't like it. I do not like it. And then
So,
I will say the most overrated is it's kind of controversial. But so this is Christmas by John Lennon.
okay.
I I get the point. It's
Yeah.
supposed to, because Christmas is a very consumerist holiday, and it's basically saying, so this is Christmas, the world's ending. And he's right. But like this is like I have existential dread 364 days a year. Can I just have one day where I don't have to feel it and enjoy doing nice things with my family? Um yeah, it's a good song. I just think it's overrated and doesn't fit that Christmas theme that I want to feel.
So I have
Also, honorable mention to
yeah.
speaking of Beatles, honorable mention to Paul McCartney, simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
Mm.
I do like that song quite a bit, but that's
So
mine.
it's weird. So I'm gonna start off with the least favorite, and it's gotta be like Santa Baby or like any like mistletoe song, like kissing under the like that's just
Yeah,
overrated. The Santa Baby thing is just creepy. Like I'm not out here like wanting to bang Santa Claus, like that's not my mo. I'm not into that. But like I've never wanted to do that. But it's weird. It's a weird song. Like it's just weird to me.
100%.
But so my favorite though, and I'm gonna bring up two because when I was a kid I listened to like a lot of punk music and like Green Day, Blink-182, whatever. So as a kid and I was very anti-Christmas at that time, and I'm not anymore. But a big one for me was growing up was two of them. I Won't Be Home for Christmas by Blink-182. Because it's it's just a very like cynical Christmas song for a 13-year-old to enjoy, and that was me. 2001 B-side song off of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, great song off a great album. Anyway, the second one actually is in that same realm, and it's gotta be what is it? It's not like Christmas, but it's like after Christmas, like it's called Boxing Day. And Boxing Day is the 26th of December in Canada. It's celebrated in Canada, and I liked it as a kid, like growing up. It's by Blink-182, but it's like they left me on the day after Christmas, like whatever. But as far as like my favorite, like of all, like the more current towards like what I listen to now has got to be Run Run Rudolph, but the version by Chuck Berry. And it's great. Like I want to say like a couple years ago, I started getting into like more like roots of music and stuff like that, and like I started getting into a lot of African American performers. And like Chuck Berry is just obviously like one of the, it's a
He's
classic, great. Right? Exactly. And again, like the things that you see and just the guitar melody and stuff like that, just great for the time, And like that's one of the reasons why I have such like small like beef with like Back to the Future, because they imply that like, I mean, if you're fan of the movie, whatever, you see the ending scene where he's at that prom in the like 50s or whatever, and plays that song, and so right, that changes time, and now it switches like the song now is written by a white guy, so it's kind of like in a way it's a little weird, like there's a lot of weird things about that movie, but that's one of the weird ones, or the weirder ones, but it's a good song, Run Run Rudolph, very good song, but oh, it's not that song, by the way, in the movie. It's what's that one song,
Johnny Be Good.
Johnny Be Good. Yes, sorry, Johnny. That's the other great classic. But anyway, yeah. So I've been a fan of that one. I was a big fan of like I think Taylor Swift had a couple Christmas songs that I was a big fan of for a while, but nothing too much. Nothing too mainstream, because all the like regular ones are very like, I don't know. That's why sometimes I like walking into like a Starbucks or something like that, because they don't always play like Christmas songs around the like this time of year. They usually like play like a few Christmas songs for like maybe a couple, and then they'll switch off to like something else, and go into like maybe a Taylor Swift or Carly Rae Jepsen or just some sort of pop song, and then they'll switch back. But enough about that. I think this is
like, I didn't know where you got on like 3 different rail cars.
We're like, this is kind of like an off week for us, isn't it?
I mean, it is, it's the week before the holiday. We're going to do an episode next week where next week I'm very excited because it's a recap week of what are right and wrong. I think as a commentator on the sporting world, it is important to look back on your takes and admit when you were wrong, and also gloat about when you were right. And we're going to do that next week.
Absolutely.
In a short span.
Yeah, that Alabama pick, baby. That was what. I don't know how I did that, but
yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about that pick and more. Do a big recap on who you got, and also my NFL predictions, my preseason NFL predictions. I wrote everything down, predicted records, with a quick 1-sentence synopsis of their seasons.
Remember when you said at one point that every team in the NFL was, or I'm sorry, not every team. Remember when you said that the Ravens were like the definition of inconsistent, and then you went into like it was either the Broncos or a couple other teams that are like the definition of inconsistent. I'm just convinced that every team is just on an inconsistent thing. Well, like the Lions go out and beat the Cardinals.
That's actually, I was gonna say, I did want to talk about the Lions
in the same season. How the hell did the Lions get steamrolled by the Bengals, and then in the next like few weeks they're out here beating the team with the best record in the NFL?
The Bengals, they have Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon. The really bad loss to me was the Eagles, and the Eagles are an awful team, but I don't think they're that good. I think every team would take Joe Burrow over Jalen Hurts.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And it was a dog shit week. We got steamrolled, but yeah. I mean, that's the thing with the NFL. It's any given Sunday, right? Any team can beat any team, because the talent deficiency, while there is a talent deficiency, obviously, between the Lions and a lot of other teams, it's not nearly as great as in like college, like a UTSA versus a Michigan,
Right. Well, UTSA, I was gonna say they wouldn't beat Michigan, but UTSA is better than a lot of people think. But then they did go out and just they threw a nugget to San Diego State and was like, "Here, have it. It's fine. We don't care."
Yeah. So talk about that. I mean, so if you're a Lions fan, because I saw a lot of discourse about this even nationally, and people were saying the Lions are fucking up their tank by winning this game. And some people were like, I don't even care. The Lions are fucking up their tank. This is amazing to watch. And nationally, these are what people are saying. Not even fans of Detroit. They're just saying it's fun, right? But I'll say, as someone who is a Detroit fan, the win doesn't bother me right now. First of all, I do need to preface this. I hate the narrative of the Lions are, 4 field goals away from being second in the NFC North. It's like, yeah, and I was 3 lottery numbers away from being a millionaire, but ifs and buts and candy and nuts, they ain't worth shit. Okay?
That's annoying.
You're the idea of like are they probably better than their record indicates?
I mean,
yeah, maybe like
with that same token, like Michigan was a knee down away from an undefeated season. Like same shit.
Some even say that knee was never down.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But no, you're right. Like ifs and buts aren't worth anything,
Right.
And so I'm like if you want to say 1 field goal, especially the 67-yarder that Tucker hit, okay. But 4, you can't be like, oh, 4 things had to go our way and we would have been fine. Like, no, that's not how this works. Especially because their bad coaching directly cost them some of those games. Like the Bears game, the double timeout incident, the not playing the sticks or letting them score a touchdown and letting them run the clock down and kick the field goal on Thanksgiving. The Browns game, they were trying to give you that win and you coached yourself out of one. Same thing with the Steelers game. You had a backup quarterback and your play calling was god awful. And I don't know what Dan Campbell was thinking.
Sorry, that was totally my bad. I totally accidentally hit the wrong button.
No, it's all right. But it's like, so we got to stop with that because Dan Campbell definitely he coached himself out of some wins this season. Like the Lions realistically could have been a 5-win team this year, maybe even 6 with how things went. But Dan Campbell coached themselves out of a few wins. But now we're at the point, right? I'm glad they won a game. They had to win a game. We needed a win.
Yeah,
because I don't care. Oh, tank for go winless and get the. It's different if you go winless and then you blow everything up. But he's a first-year head coach with a first-year GM. It's really, really difficult to maintain buy-in and convincing people that you're trying to build something when the foundation is 0-17. That's a really ugly mark to start with.
Well,
and so the fact that they avoided that is very good.
The weird part, it's weird that people are talking about like the tank and like they're messing it up or whatever because like first off, like the Lions, I mean again, it's the NFL. Like you got to be bad to be bad. You know what I mean? Like Jacksonville, like that is a unique situation. Like Jacksonville and Urban Meyer, like they thought that thing would go well, then it never did. And it's just, again, it's a unique situation. Like the Jacksonville Jaguars are in an infinitely worse position than the Lions are. They're in an infinitely worse position than 99%. I think they have the worst position of like going forward, being one of the worst teams and getting themselves out of the basement. Like they are in a bad spot. No, I disagree. Well, even then though, like the Lions with the draft capital they have, like the Lions like have like even if they get number 2, okay? Well, how many picks they got coming up? You know what I mean? Like it's not
4
enough.
Picks in the next 2 years in the first round alone, plus an additional I believe an additional third was the third this last year. I think they have the third this year is when that comes in.
It's just so much. Like they have so much. Like
Oh, and let's not forget when you get some bad contracts off the books. Stafford's contract comes off the books, and the cap increases. They're going to have a ton of money to
right,
play with.
right.
Pay guys like Penei Sewell, DeAndre Swift. Although I don't want them to pay a running back crazy money.
Well,
Sign a free agent QB depending on what's there. Trade for an asset. I'll tell you what. I wouldn't if depending on what Miami wants. I would trade our second first round pick for Tua.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
But
they could
won't go
trade
into
for a
that. My
QB.
point is, I don't think the roster is as bad as we thought it was.
Well, and coaching
The
can
offensive
improve that
line,
too, right? Like the defensive
well, that's
coordinator
the
and
big
the
thing.
stuff that they've come up with.
Aaron Glenn and Aubrey Pleasant deserve a ton of credit. They have made a practice squad secondary with, I mean, guys like Amani Oruwariye, who was a 5th-round draft pick corner. Kuda got hurt, so that's your number one corner is Amani, who has had a great season. He's like second and third in a lot of categories for corners, and he was a 4th round pick a couple years ago. You have Jerry Jacobs, whose season unfortunately ended, but he was an undrafted free agent, and he was having a stellar rookie season. Same thing goes for AJ Parker. Like these are guys that like undrafted free agents or practice squad, and they have come in and done a fantastic job of getting the job done. And then we have Nfanwu Melawanwu, I think is how you say his name. I believe he was our 3rd or 4th-round pick this last draft. He's a rookie. He's been in and made some plays. He's also been hurt throughout the season. So like the fact that this is why I kind of have faith in Dan Campbell, because he did assemble this coaching staff. Him and Holmes assembled the coaching staff, and he got those guys to come and play for him. And the fact that we're getting such good play out of these corners who really, I mean, imagine if by some miracle Okuda comes back and plays well. I think he could eventually step up and be the guy. And same thing goes. I mean, at least that's what I would like to hope when you use a 3rd-round pick on a guy. I don't want him to be a bust, even though I think he will be. Just because Achilles are a pain to come back from. But like, so I'm kind of rambling here, but to get back to my point, like that coaching and doing so much with so little, and yeah, it hasn't translated to wins, but the fact that like this team has been competitive with very good teams and blew out what was 2 weeks ago the 1 seed in the NFC. So I kind of have regained some faith in Dan Campbell. He called a perfect game that Sunday against Arizona. His play calling and game management ever since that Thanksgiving game have improved significantly. Now I would need to see it consistently. You're not, it's not a free ride yet. But he's gotten some signature wins. And bring this back to the tank conversation, the Lions are going to finish with a top 3 pick. And with what Brad Holmes has done so far in finding, Penei Sewell's a stud. Derek Barnes, who was a late round selection, has been a great rookie linebacker. He plays like his pants are on fire. He needs more coaching, but he'll get it and he'll continue to develop. Levi, our couple of DTs that we drafted, nose tackles you don't hear their name a lot, but they've gotten a couple sacks this season and have, helped this run defense not be the worst in the league, which it very well could have been with how bad this defense was. So yeah, I have a lot of faith in Holmes. If he's picking 3 to still get an amazing talent, I do really hope though that we stay in the top 2. I just want one of those edge rushers, whether it's Thibodeau or Hutchinson. I think an elite edge rusher is so important for a defense as an anchor because he helps every level of the defense. by an edge rusher like that can disrupt everything on an offense. Obviously, pressuring the quarterback is the immediate effect, sacks, tackles for loss, things like that. But even if that's not the case, even if he doesn't, the numbers aren't there for like sacks, you have to think he's forcing the quarterback to get the ball out quick, which takes pressure off your secondary to cover guys longer. It opens up more holes because you have to double cover, him for a linebacker to do a delayed blitz to get through, and then he sacks the quarterback. Literally, a edge rusher, an elite edge rusher, like the Washington football team got this with Chase Young. The Niners got it with Nick Bosa. The Chargers kind of have it with Joey Bosa. The Steelers have it with Watt. All of those teams have good defenses, and they all have elite edge rushers, right? Washington football team took a step back, but guess what? Chase Young's been hurt for the last half of the season. So amazing what happens when you lose that centerpiece. Having that elite guy makes it just so, and it also helps the rest of your line. Again, you're probably getting double covered more. They're going to put their best guy on you, and then now the other guys in your line have better matchups. So I do hope we keep one of those guys, but even if we fall to 3 and we get, I think Hamilton and Stingley are the 2 names mentioned most, I'm not going to view it as the end of the world, because I think with the amount of picks that this team has coming up and where they're going and how well their coaches are having them play, and what they can do with even suboptimal talent shows that they might even have less holes to fill than we thought. I mean, Tracy Walker, safety, has had a very good year. He is still playing as a starting level caliber safety, I think. I think a lot of the pieces on offense are there. I think the Lions are realistically with Hawkinson, who can be your really, with a guy like Hawkinson, he's your wide receiver too, right? Like he's a tight end, but he's wide receiver too in terms of targets. I think you could have Amon-Ra St. Brown be that wide receiver 3 slot guy. You have Swift as your pass catching back, who's your fourth option, wide receiver 4. And then you have some other pieces, Khalif Raymond, Quintez Cephas, these, other guys you bring in, wide receiver packages. They just need that wide receiver 1 and a new QB, and that offense is pretty complete. So whether they get Michael Gallup in a free agency or they draft a wide receiver and then they'll get their QB next year, because we know we're not getting it this year. The Lions, they're set in a lot of places. So, I know this has been a very long-winded thing about breaking down the Lions team, but they need so many things on defense, no matter where they pick in that top, 4 to 5. They're going to get a defensive piece that helps them immediately. And like I said, I just hope it is an edge rusher, because I think their outlook is they should be competing for a playoff spot in 2023. That is my expectation, because that's how rebuilds go. And we already had underlying pieces. We have an offensive line. We have a Pro Bowl center. We have an all-pro rookie right tackle in Penei Sewell, who has been quietly having one of the best rookie seasons of anyone in the draft class, especially after a slightly rocky start. He's just been lights out. Taylor Decker, who is a very good left tackle, and those are hard to come by in the NFL. Our guards are serviceable. You could, maybe get one in free agency. But, like, your line set, you have TJ Hawkinson, who is very good. He's not a Kittle or a Kelsey, but he's probably the 5th best, 6th best tight end in the league in terms of offensive production and blocking. You have a great running back duo in Swift and Williams. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like he's going to be a great, slot receiver. You're not that many pieces away on offense. And defense, you've already got some pieces in there in terms of, the middle of your line. Get you that edge rusher, get a little more secondary help. And really, I think the biggest thing is get that linebacker that kind of, holds down that middle of the field between the deep secondary and the shallow. But this team, I think, is a lot closer. I don't think they're going anywhere next year. They still have pieces to put together. But there's no reason the Detroit Lions should not be competing for a wild card spot and winning 9 to 10 games in 2023. And that's just me.
Yeah, and
Go 10-7 and win a playoff game.
I mean, like you said, there's the like the whole again like the situation with the picks. And there's no QB in the draft. It's not like, picking, I don't know, like
Yeah, not this year.
and it's not gonna matter. And two, like, I don't know, like to another point too, like, I don't know, wouldn't you? I guess I would rather pick a QB like maybe even like later. I mean, not, I guess, I don't know, it depends on who's available, but like, I guess if you set up your QB for better success, like, is that not a blessing in disguise? Too, because like, I don't know, you're seeing what the Jets are doing, and we talked about that last week or whatever. And again, every situation in the NFL is different, but like, you see the Jets come in here. Can you imagine if there was a QB available last year? They didn't have Jared Goff, and they had to draft like another QB, or I don't know, like they say they had a rookie QB who's got to start, right? Like, in this situation, could you imagine like how they would ruin that QB, like, I mean, that's kind of how you keep yourself out of like those situations, unless it's very rare that a team gets a talent no matter how high they pick. Like, it's very rare that like Matthew Stafford like comes around. Matthew Stafford was a good QB. He had a good talent. He was a professional. Like, he was ran in a pro system, like at Georgia, right? So like, it's it's just, I guess, like, I would, I guess, like, rather like set up like a QB for success, because I mean, even like, I don't think Stafford had like as many growing pains as like even like Trevor Lawrence is having, or and again, like, I guess there were times, but the dude came back in like year one and had like a broken shoulder and comes back and throws like a touchdown pass.
The thing is with you talk, I just am not interested in drafting any quarterback.
No, there's
nothing.
First round. And you don't want Malik Willis.
Don't fucking talk about Malik Willis.
I watched him the other night. He was pretty good, but I would not take him in the top 15.
Nothing against him, but he's not an NFL quarterback. I wouldn't an NFL quarterback. Here's my issue with the people who want to take a quarterback in the second and third round, which, by the way, that's where you find your gems, right? We got DeAndre Swift with a second round pick. Jonathan Taylor was a second round pick. George Kittle was a third round pick, I believe. Like, that's where you get those guys, right? That's where you get those even if they're just serviceable, but potentially superstar level guys that break out. Second and third round picks are very, very valuable.
Well,
and to waste it on a backup level QB as opposed to a starting cornerback or a starting free safety or a starting guard, like, I don't understand it. And especially when you look at the success rate, I would argue quarterback is probably the biggest bust position wise, and the success rate of taking a QB in the early rounds versus later rounds, if you look at ones that even start a game and then what their records are. So if you look at picks outside even just the top two, but we could do this with the top five, really. Here's your picks. I'm going to read, and this is just, let's see, this is just since 2009, but this goes all the way back. And this is just the first round outside the top five. And even the top four. So in 2009, Mark Sanchez, 37-36. Number 17, Josh Freeman, 25-36. Number 25 in 2010 was Tim Tebow, 8-6 as a starter. We all know how he's a tight end now. But I'm like Blaine Gabbert, Jake Lockett. These are all guys who are not taken in the top five. Christian Ponder, Tannehill is in a weird exception to the rule, but he was still number 8. Like, he was up there. Brandon Weeden, EJ Manuel, Blake Bortles, Johnny Manziel, Paxton Lynch. The only ones that have bucked this trend are Mahomes, Watson, and Watson, on the field, we know he's talented. So I'm not going to, him being a bust is not because of his talent. And then, obviously, the most recent exceptions to that rule have been Josh Allen was taken at 7, still in the top 10, though. And then Lamar Jackson got taken at 32. he's definitely an exception to the rule. Um, but like even getting out of the top 10, it gets very like it just drops off in success rate of players in the like there's a reason Brady's a 1 in a million story. It's not just because he's won so much, but because he was a 6th round draft pick. He never should have, been that good. And he was, and good for him. And I wish there was more like it, but like I understand there is the Russell Wilsons and the Drew Breeses who get drafted in the second and third rounds. But you realize how many QBs have been drafted in those rounds whose names you don't even know? Like the percentages of success versus bust of as a starter, right? Because like the whole why are you drafting unless it's you don't use a 2nd-round pick on a backup? Like there is no team in the NFL that good to be using a 2nd-round pick on a draft on a backup unless like you're grooming that like them to be the QB after your current guy leaves, a la Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. That's a little different, but that the Lions obviously don't have that situation, so we cannot be drafting a Malik Willis. So I think they just gotta wait for next year. You have 2 first-round picks, no matter what. You have that, and you probably one of them will be in the top 10. Depending on what this team does. So you could very easily, like, if there's a quarterback you want, you can trade up. You can give 2 first-rounders to get into the top 5 if you need to. And if there's a QB that's that good, that's going to be your generational guy, you make that move, no doubt, if the QB class is better next year. So the Lions have a lot of options, and I know I've kind of been rambling about this, but you brought up the quarterback thing. This is, I think, a lesson to a lot of teams. Don't take quarterbacks in the 2nd and 3rd round. You want to get a guy in the 5th as, a backup guy. He looked good in college, might be able to develop him into something, maybe becomes kind of a career journeyman. That's fine, but I just think I think 2nd round and 3rd round picks are so valuable in the draft, those day 2 picks, that you just can't give them away that easily.
No, and so, I mean, even like after the 2nd round, sometimes they're not like, you know what I mean? Like after I don't know why, but anyone would pick a QB after the 1st round, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you.
But anyway, you want to get into let's not bore the people with some Lions roster talk. Let's get into who you got. Are you ready,
Indeed.
Griff? Are you ready?
I am ready.
Amazing. Yes. That is great. You picked the games today. So what are the scores? What do we got? What is this, the final week? 42-39?
Yeah, I mean, we'll keep this going throughout till this football season ends.
The end of the football season.
We'll do the recap next week to talk, because mainly so you get to talk about your how great you were with that
that Alabama
pick.
Perfect.
Yeah. But yeah, so we have start off. I mean, bowl week. There's gonna be a lot of bowls next week. I picked a few kind of between now and next Wednesday. So that was the cutoff. It had to happen before, I think it's the 28th, on the 28th, that Tuesday the 28th, or earlier, because obviously the ones next Wednesday are eligible for next week's picks. So that's the selection we got. Starting off, we have the Gasparilla Bowl, whatever that is. And it is UCF versus Florida, a little panhandle. Sorry, not panhandle. A little bit of Florida on Florida action here. Brad, who you got? Why you got him?
So I'm gonna be bold. And take. I'm gonna take UCF. Because listen, I don't think that Florida. Well, I don't know. I feel like Florida has more to lose. Than like anything else, right? Like Florida is like, I don't know, they've always kind of been that hot SEC team for so long, and then they kind of just died like a few years ago or whatever, and I haven't really been anything since. I know that like this year was kind of like a disappointment for them or whatever. What did they finish? Yeah, they 6-6. That's not great. And UCF has always had a good team. Florida's line is -7. But I don't think that, I don't know. I can't see. No, Florida. No, thank you. It might end up being a shootout, but I can't imagine. No, I'll take UCF all day.
The over-under is is 57. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna just take Florida. Better team against, isn't UCF a group of five?
Yeah,
Or they
they are. I believe so. I forget which conference. Yeah, they're in the American. Whatever the hell that
yeah.
means.
SEC versus an AAC school. Yeah, give me Florida. Close my eyes, take the points.
Yeah.
All right. Then we got this one's a little more interesting. The Birmingham Bowl. We have 21 Houston going against a Bo Nixless Auburn. Brand, who you got?
Yeah. That one's gonna be rough. So that one's hard for me too, because that's also a game where it's an SEC
It's a
school.
little different.
Yeah, it is. It is. Griff, so here's the thing, okay? This line is closer than the line is in that a previous game, UCF Florida. All right. This one's Auburn -2.5. But you know what? I'm gonna take Houston. Houston I think they played a pretty good game until like Cincinnati kind of started to roll it up on them. But I really think that Auburn can that Houston can come around and I don't know, beat them. Because again, Auburn's a 6-6 SEC team. I mean, who the hell did they beat? Like, I can't imagine that Houston doesn't fit into the SEC going like if you Houston would go maybe like 4 wins in the SEC, and and I feel like that's more impressive than Auburn going 6-6 in the SEC, because Auburn's got the bigger recruiting footprint, stuff like that. Auburn lost to Penn State, not a good team. Okay, Auburn lost to Georgia 34-10. That's not surprising. And then Auburn has lost the last 4 games on the schedule. They lost to Texas A&M. They lost to Mississippi State. They lost to South Carolina. And they obviously lost to Alabama. So I'm not going to throw a fit if they lose, because they probably will. So it doesn't seem like it's that far-fetched to suggest that they blow the game, especially without Bo Nix. Well, Bo Nix didn't really do much for him anyway, but
Yep. So I'll say this. I'm picking Houston as well, but I just feel like this could be a weird situation where whoever the backup is,
right,
to come in and somehow just be way better than Bo Nix.
Right.
But I'm going to keep the faith a little bit and hope that Houston will just win this game. So I got Houston. I think they're the better team. I don't think Auburn's very good, like you said, for the reasons you said. So, okay. On to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Ooh,
right.
Ooh, so exciting.
I know.
We got West Virginia University versus Minnesota.
I got to take Minnesota here. Their line is 4.5, and I think they build on it, to be honest. I mean, this game could be win by 3. I don't know if they'll actually cover the spread or not. But so even without I'd imagine that Tanner Morgan's not playing. Like I can't imagine that he's playing.
No, probably not.
But
probably not.
But anyway, I mean, even without him, Minnesota's a better team. By the way, this game is gonna be at Chase Field in Phoenix, where the Diamondbacks play, which is very exciting. But it's a 10 p.m. game, so who gives a shit? It's so hard to watch those games. But anyway, so yeah, Minnesota's a better team. I can't imagine that West Virginia is really anything. This game's probably gonna be low scoring, low key.
Well, it's Big Ten football, baby.
Well,
that's we run the damn
grind
ball.
It out. Run the damn ball.
No, I'm the same boat. I got Minnesota. All the reasons you said. They're just a better team. I think they'll win and cover the spread just fine.
Right.
So, all right, getting into, I think this is probably the most interesting one. We got the Holiday Bowl. UCLA going up against number 18 NC State. Who you got? Why you got them?
Yeah, this one's also at a baseball stadium at Petco Park in San Diego, where the Padres play, which is very exciting.
Super fun.
I know, love that. Love football games at baseball fields. You know me, big fan of that, dude. Side note: the Northwestern, what's it called? The Northwestern Illinois game at Wrigley Field. That looked like shit. Like, I would not want to see that game. I don't understand. Because the dimensions just don't make sense for there to be baseball, like, football in the same place they play baseball. I had no idea why that's a thing. Anyway, off my high horse, or whatever you call it. NC State is coming in with, what the hell's his name? Something Devin Leary. QB, sophomore QB for NC State. Dude he threw for 30 almost 3,500 yards last season. But his, 60% completion percentage. Anyway, he comes in here. UCLA has been, I think they've been like a little bit, from what I know, they've been a little bit like underwhelming. And not to say that it's anything surprising or whatever. They did beat LSU, which is not saying much. But right. because when LSU lost to UCLA, people were like, "Oh, this is bad. Like that's how bad this is. It's bad. But UCLA lost to Arizona State. UCLA lost to Oregon. They lost to Utah. They're actually a better team, I think, than people give them credit for. Couple early losses and then losses to big, like, ranked teams, like the team that ended up winning the Pac-12 championship, team that ended up going to the Pac-12 championship. So it's not like, UCLA is a terrible team, but I gotta take NC State. I think that this one's kind of a toss-up. I think that both these teams could win this game easily, but I think ultimately it'll probably be NC State and the youth of their team that'll win this game.
Yep.
I mean, NC State's a 1-point favorite, and again, this game could end up being. It's gonna probably be close. Like, I imagine it would be like, I don't know, like 40-35 or something like that.
Yeah. No, I'm. So what is your pick?
NC State. Sorry if that wasn't clear.
State.
I kept going on and on about UCLA.
That's fair. I'm taking UCLA.
Again, it's a toss-up.
I just like calling them UCLA.
UCLA.
No, UCLA, baby. No, but no, seriousness. I don't know. This is kind of a toss-up. The spread's it's basically a pick 'em.
Right.
I think. I think they'll eke this out. I don't know. It's like weird. I have a feeling these are very equally matched teams. I'll take UCLA as a somewhat home field advantage and kind of just close my eyes and go with it. That's, with these kind of games where it's like I don't even know what players are playing, especially with COVID and opt outs and all that shit. I'm just going with what I can best pick, and right now I think UCLA is the better pick. So that's what
the fun fact that is that game is one of 3 games that is not 3 bowl games that is not broadcast by ESPN. 3.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's on Fox at 8 p.m.
Indeed.
Interesting, right?
All right. Now we're moving on.
Yes, let's move
to
on
the NFL slate. All right, we got 4 games here. Starting off Thursday Night Football. 49ers versus Titans. This is a game 3 weeks ago I would have thought would have been like meaningless and excuse me, meaningless and just like nothing. But both of these teams have serious playoff hopes, and this game has a lot of playoff implications. So, Brad, who you got? Why you got him?
This is kind of rough, really, for both teams. So right now, Tennessee sits at 9-5, right? Like, so they lose, and the Colts could tie them for first in the conference. All right, Texans and Jaguars already eliminated, but the Titans and the Colts are at the top of the division, right? So Titans play 49ers, who, by the way, are 8-6. All right. Now their path to like the playoffs is a little more bleak for them, especially just contending with the Cardinals and the Rams. That said, I gotta take the 49ers. It's a lot harder for the 49ers to make the playoffs because you got to think, right? So so the Packers are already in the playoffs. The Packers
Yeah,
are already
they're
in the
only
playoffs.
team to have clinched.
The Cowboys are 10-4. They lead the NFC East, so they're in. Or they would be. Well, I mean, I don't think the Eagles are making any. I think it's
Yeah,
like
they
I think the
should be
Cowboys are like
fine,
a win
barring
away
a
from
catastrophe.
from clinching.
Yeah.
But then you got the Buccaneers 10-4. Can't imagine the Saints, the Falcons. But only the Buccaneers again are the only team in that division that's over 500. The NFC West is the only one that's competitive. So there's actually kind of more of a path than I would have thought.
And you got to think, like, at this point, it's pretty much a lock that, like,
Right.
it's going to be the Rams and Cardinals.
Right.
One's going to win, and
Right.
one's going to get
the wild
spot.
card. And the
There's
other
two
wild
other
card
spots
spot will
open.
probably go to the 49ers, if I'm going to be honest. That said, too,
Yeah,
I
at
think
least-
that they
and
win
then
this
it'll
game.
I want to see what the actual seeding is right now. NFC playoffs. Playoff.
I think it'd be
seeding
Packers
right
1. I don't know who would be 2, though, because every team is 10-4.
So, oh wait, it had it. I want to see. It only shows me the top 5 on this view. Because Rams are the 5th seed, Cards are
Right.
the 4th seed with their loss.
Dude, Mike?
I'm trying to see. Let's go to a National Football Conference. Yeah, like the only other team, like here's who it is. It's the Rams at 10-4. Then after that, it's the 49ers at the 6th seed.
Right, and they're in. They would be in it right now because
and then like teams that are close would be the
Saints, the
Eagles,
Vikings, and the Eagles.
And and then the Falcons are still in it. It's kind of crazy how like some of these teams that I've always viewed as bad are still fighting for spots.
Right. The Lions are eliminated.
Lions are eliminated. Lions and the Texans were eliminated last week. I don't know if anyone else has been.
The Bears.
I don't think so.
Bears are eliminated.
Oh,
they're 4-10.
The Jags are.
But
the Jags are eliminated.
I think,
don't know if the Bears. No. I think the Bears technically are not eliminated.
No,
yet.
they are.
Still,
it's according to ESPN. They are. The
Bears.
The Bears are 4-10.
Anyway,
and I think
getting back to the point, you're right. I agree with you. The 49ers are fighting for that spot. I just said I agree with you. I think the Titans find a way to win this game.
Yeah. Maybe listen, okay, can I change actually? Can I change back to the Titans? I'm not kidding.
You're going to go to Titans.
I'm not kidding. I'm going to go to the Titans. Do you know why? Okay. Now,
because they're going to get Brown back.
I think I'm not that analytical as you. Like I am a meathead when it comes to the NFL. I know
NFL
zero when it comes to the NFL. Zero.
Okay.
But it's like watching basketball for me. Actually, I understand football. Basketball is like I'm like out here like I don't know what this is. So I'm gonna pick the Titans. Okay. Now the only reason, and it's gonna be Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that he is holding this team hostage. I think that the 49ers be better off without him.
Okay, see, I disagree with you there.
So that's all I'm gonna say. I think that watch me be right. Watch me win.
No, I just changed my pick actually.
Oh
I
my
was kind
goodness.
of doing it to just be contrarian to you, but I thought about it.
Yeah,
Jimmy Garoppolo has been playing very good football the last couple weeks.
I'm sure he has.
They can run the ball when they want to run it. George Kittle's a beast. Deebo Samuel is a gadget, is an all-around player. Defense has played very well as well. I'm going to go 49ers. Even though Titans get A.J. Brown back, you still don't really have a running game. And it's kind of crazy. I said at the beginning of the year that the Colts could win the AFC South, and they're one game out of first place. So AFC South is going to be very interesting down the stretch here. So
it is.
I'll go 49ers. All right, some Saturday night football. Speaking of Colts, Colts at the Cardinals. Brett, who you got more?
So the Cardinals have the best. So they had one of the best records in the NFC. or in the NFL.
Will do. Second
Anyway. Well, right. Well, they still do. You're right. But they've been trending down. Last week, you know what? You know who they looked like? The 2019 Cardinals. Like they looked terrible, like awful, like
not good.
No, it was not.
It was
pleasant.
so weird.
So yeah, there's nothing to suggest to me that the Cardinals want to play meaningful football right now. Nothing to suggest. And I was rooting for them all year. I was like, holy shit. Like I thought the NFC West was gonna be a mess between the Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. No idea that the Seahawks were gonna be out of it. And then the 49ers were gonna be a couple games back, and the Rams and the Cardinals are gonna be beefing it out. Had zero clue that was gonna happen. And again, I'm rooting for the Cardinals, and I wanted Matthew Stafford to finally get his Super Bowl so I could stop bitching about how bad he was for the Lions. And, and the Cardinals are, like, just not playing great football right now, and I'm just sick of it. And so I don't know, they get a taste of their medicine. Colts have something to play for. Cardinals are in fantasy land where they can, like, ring up on Madden or whatever, and the hell they don't give a shit. And, they're playing simulation mode, and they don't know what's going on. So I got the Colts.
I also have the Colts. And,
yeah.
Because I have a very interesting stat for you.
I'm sure you do.
Did you know the Cardinals have been worse at home than on the road this year?
That's interesting.
They, I believe, are sub 500 at home since 2020.
Really?
They do not like winning in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Do you know how many home games they've lost this year?
Haven't they lost all games at home this year?
The Cardinals?
Or no, sorry, they lost. They're 3-3 at home, and
this
they
year?
were 7-0 on the road.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so they're now 7-1 after the Lions lost, but they were 7-0 on the road and 3-3 at home.
That's crazy.
Surprised
Arizona sucks. And
I think, like you said, the Cardinals are out of sorts. And normally I lean to up-down theory, but I think the Colts, yeah, they're coming off a high of last week, but they're still a game out. And especially if the Titans lose Thursday, even whether the Titans, if they lose Thursday, then hey, the Colts can win and have, they're tied with them for first in the division. And if the Titans win, well, then they need to win to keep fighting for that first place slot or at least a wild card slot. So they have all the motivation to continue winning these games.
Right.
And the Cardinals, I think this is classic December Cliff Kingsbury where it all falls apart. So yeah, I'll take the Colts. Dude can't win in December. It's fucking wild.
That is crazy.
Anyway, moving on, my favorite game of the week. We had this last week with the Jags in Houston. Houston won. Good for Houston. Yay. Jags now have the number one pick. Tank Bowl the second. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to the Meadowlands to take on those New York Football Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Brad, who you got and why do you got them in this epic matchup?
So, yeah. It's rough. It's rough out here. It really is. So it's weird. Like, it's weird, right? Like and I went off, and we can go back on YouTube and view that, whatever you want to do. Go back to that where I was talking about the Jets and how like awful, like, Zach Wilson was looking, or not even that, but just the fans in general who are sick of Zach Wilson. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you compare the two, and like, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say who wins this game. I want to say that it's a toss-up. I really do. But, like, Jacksonville fired Urban Meyer. He's out of here. The Jets have a better chance of winning. But here's the thing. I got to pick the Jets. And the only reason that I'm picking the Jets,
Jets
is because I'm looking at the QBs and who can get more done. But also, Zach Wilson has more to work with. Like, I'm sorry, but like, and I know we're comparing like apples to apples, and both apples are rotten. But Zach Wilson, like, even though he has, like, I'm looking at his stats and he has like 1,000 less passing yards, but at the same time, like, the Jets have, well, I guess their running back has less yards as well. So I'm like trying to see like what the hell they got going. Well, hasn't Zach Wilson played less? Is that what it is?
Yeah, but
I guess that's fair. But I'm looking at this.
Your mind here.
I'm looking at this,
right.
and the Jets have not won it. I'm sorry, the Jets are 2-5 at home. The Jags are 0-6 on the road, and I guess that's going to be anything. But I think the Jets just are going to win, and that's just because it's at home. So, only reason I'm going with the Jets is because they're at home. That's it. It's the only reason. I can't pick.
Well, here's why I have the Jags, and here's why.
Yeah.
15 Jets are going to be out this weekend due to COVID, including head coach Robert Saleh. So I'm taking the Jags. A million Jets are injured. The Jags are going to go out and win a game because they actually like Darrell Bevel. They're using James Robinson again.
I hate that
Lawrence,
none of these games are like even competitive because of COVID, right? Like none of these games. Like the competitive balance has been thrown off.
If this game got canceled, it wouldn't matter, other than fantasy purposes, right? But
no, who has? If you got a player on one of these two teams, God bless your soul.
My mom has James Robinson, and he got her 17 points last week.
That's
and also fair. She had Brandon Cooks, who got her 36 points last week.
Oh my
God!
Well,
good players on bad teams can still do well. I've had DeAndre Swift all year. He's been a stud until he got hurt. So
yeah, well, that's true.
Anyway, I consider this game of the week. It's the most interesting, I would say, other than maybe the Sunday night game, which has NFC East rivals, Cowboys versus Washington. But this is also a division rivalry game, and I think these teams are both better and more interesting. Bills at Patriots. This is the rematch. The first one. First game obviously got the Patriots edged out the Bills. But that game was weird because the wind was crazy. Mac Jones threw the ball 3 times in an NFL game. That's crazy. So I'm not saying it's a fluke. I mean, Belichick, they ran the ball. They had the run game worked. And, a win is a win in the NFL. I'm not going to discredit it. But now this game is obviously, it's going to be in New England. At Foxborough. So weather can still be a factor, but I don't think it's supposed to be nearly as crazy as it was in Buffalo. So we will see. I think this will obviously be a more traditional looking game where quarterbacks will be able to throw the ball without it, sailing through the wind. So Brad, who do you got and why do you got him in this very intense divisional rivalry?
So hard to say. And this is, again, like you mentioned, it's probably got to be the game of the week. So
it's the one I'll be watching.
Yeah. I got to pick New England. I mean, last week, they lost. Belichick. Right. Well, and I guess I wouldn't care as much. Last week they lost against Indianapolis, and Mac Jones did not look like Mac Jones. But
I personally would have bet money on the Colts last week to win, just because you can't. It's so hard to win that many games in a row in the NFL, right? That's really all it was, and I definitely could see them bouncing back this week.
Oh, absolutely, and
especially because they play at home, and Foxborough is one of the best home field advantages I think in the NFL. That it's not up there, not for the fan purposes, but it's just a tough place to play.
And both these teams are kind of coming off I don't know. The Bills, I guess they beat the Panthers last week, and then before that they lost to Tampa Bay, and it only was in overtime. And then they had the funky game against New England, and then against New Orleans they only scored 6. And it's it's weird. It's hard to say. I wish I had a better reason to pick New England other than when you you got to bet on the team that's kind of hotter right now, and you look at it right now, New England has won 4 games out of the last 5, right? Bills are 2-3 in the last 5, so ride the hot hand, I guess.
That's so you're taking the
I am
Patriots?
taking the Patriots, absolutely.
Okay. I'm taking the Bills, and I swear I'm not doing this just to disagree. I think the Bills are in a bit of a survival mode, right? Like they
Right.
are a game behind the Patriots, and the AFC is going to be competitive. Like there's a lot of teams. Like the AFC North is all within a game of each other for the first place in that. The Colts are 8-6. The Chargers are 8-6. The Raiders are 7-7. The Broncos are 7-7. The Dolphins are 7-7. And you're 8-6. Like there are so many teams within a game to 2 games of each other that are between, other than the Chiefs, the 2 seed through through I think what would be like the 10 seed, it looks like maybe even the 12 seed are all within a game to 2 games of each other. So the Bills got to win this game, and it's a must win for New England as well. But I think the Bills find a way to win. I think I really like the Bills head coach, whose name is escaping me right now. Sean McDermott, I believe. Sean McDermott. Yes, look at me remembering things. He's a good coach, and he's gotten out coached by Belichick before, but like who hasn't? I think he finds a way to win. I think Josh Allen. I think this is I think the Bills have kind of started to get things together, and hope we talked about inconsistency earlier in the show. Hopefully, I think they're starting to find their consistency, and hopefully they do enough this week to get the dub. So I'll take Bills.
Perfect. I wouldn't be upset. I'm really hoping that God,
I just hope it's a good game.
imagine if
watch
we're
something
tied after this week. That would be so frustrating.
especially after that lead you got with that Alabama.
I know.
All right, man. Well, I think that's all we got this week, right?
That is all we got. We're coming up against it with 5 minutes
Yeah.
left in the show.
All
Isn't that
right.
crazy.
Well, let's just we use our time. We use it well. So,
yeah. Sure.
Brad, do you have anything to say to the people before
I
we
do
sign off for the
actually.
holiday?
So, first off, fantasy sucks. Don't ever do it.
Yeah.
I am so pissed. No, because
yeah, we both got knocked out in the first
Well,
round.
so listen to this though. I was number two seed. Okay, I win 9 games in the regular season, and last week before this past week, okay, I was scheduled to have a bye week for this past week. Okay, I was scheduled to have a bye as long as I got number 1 or number 2 seed, and I ended up losing to the guy. I would have been a number 1 seed if I had the head to head, but then I lost to him, and anyway, you know how that goes. Well, I guess it wouldn't be head to head; it'd be points scored. But anyway. So I was supposed to be number 1 or 2 and I would have had a bye this week. Six teams in the playoffs, which is kind of a reasonable number, right? 6 teams in the playoffs.
At least 6 teams works if the best 2 teams get rewarded for being the best 2 teams.
Exactly.
An 8-team playoff with no buys is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because why play a regular season?
No, there's no
can
point.
be
You could
5
just draft and start the playoffs because anyone can, you might as well have 12 teams.
You might as well just do a tournament from week 1.
Yes. God,
That
it's
should be
so
an interesting way. That would be an interesting way to do a fantasy season.
I'd rather them do just overall points. Overall points. So
that's how my dad. Oh, so I'll tell you this: my dad's league does it like that. The one I drafted for him, the 14-man league. They don't do a playoff. They do. They play all the way through week 18, and whoever has the best record wins. And if there's a tie, then it goes based on whoever scores the most points.
Okay.
Right? And if I don't think there would ever be a tie in that, because the odds of that are very low.
Right.
But I think
that's
it's like strength. Of
anything
schedule,
can happen.
basically.
And it pisses me off because I was supposed to have a bye and then they changed it last minute and I'm like, what the hell? So now I gotta play this dude who's number 7 and I'm out here with a loss and I'm the only high seed that lost my game. So I'm out here
I know it. You didn't put any money in that league, but man, I would have been like, you need to give me my money back. You can't change the rule at the end of the
No,
that's not how fantasy works.
Because if you're looking at the projections, that's what you expect, right? That's what you anticipate to happen, and how it goes.
That you got hoed. I just lost. I went against the guy had played Dallas Goedert and Mark Andrews, and even though he had Cordero Patterson and Amari Cooper, all my guys just kind of were duds, Mike Williams, 8 points. Alvin Kamara, 5. Rashad Penny, 6. just just such an average, like a meh week for me with a few busts, and he had three guys that boomed with Jalen Hurts, and then I lost. But good news, my wife's team is in her championship. The one where I got knocked out, my mom is at least in the championship, so good for her. And like I said, my dad's team is one win away from winning the whole league because he's got a 2-game lead on someone. So he needs to win one more game, and it'll be impossible for someone to beat him.
That's crazy. Love that for him.
Yeah, well, I get a ring too if because I drafted the team. So
perfect.
Yeah. Brad, do you have anything else you want to say to people before we get out of here? Enjoy the holiday.
No, that is it.
All right, people. Love you lots. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great and safe holiday. Be smart. Enjoy the time with your families. Be safe, obviously, COVID and all that. Have a good one. Make smart bets and make your free throws. See you guys next week.